Another boring day. See you, Danwood. Why did I choose to stay here for this long? Oh well. Oh. Hey. I think I heard of you. Welcome to me shop, stranger. Now you must be that person that everyone's talking about in town, eh? The brave adventurer who ventured into Shadowmoor Forest and actually came out alive, yeah? Well, that hasn't happened in, as long as I've been here, I can tell you that. That forest, it's sort of this shadow over the town, you know that? But you managed to go in and come out unscathed. Fascinating. And now you have found your way to my shop. What a turn of fate, right? You must have the lady fate in your pocket to end up in a fine establishment like this. You know, I'm a peddler. See, I am a purveyor of fascinating secondhand goods. You know, so I've got all sorts of fascinating, interesting things for sale here. But you see, the problem with being in a town like Danwood here, it's so small. No one here has the imagination, the appreciation for the sort of things that I got here. You know? So it's tough to make a living in a place like this. A bloke like me. Now, that ain't because I don't got good merchandise. There may be people around town who tell you that. That ain't true. No. I got good quality stuff here. I just don't have the right buyers in a town like this. But you, a brave adventurer such as yourself, I am sure that you have an eye for the finer things in life, eh? That's what I thought, yeah. No, don't try to deny it, that's alright. You can be a big, brave adventurer and also appreciate life's niceties. Anyway, I would be truly honoured if you would allow me to show you my fascinating, amazing wares that I got for sale here. I just know that I've got something here that you need. I just know it. I've got something for everybody, you know. You know, the thing about being a peddler is that, you know, it's about supply and demand, buying and selling and trading and things like that. But it's also about finding the right person for every item that you have. You know, I ain't just a salesman. I am a matchmaker. Yeah, it's quite an important job. That's right. People in this city, they don't appreciate it. But I bet you of all people, you will appreciate my wares here. Now, I accept gold, obviously. Bloke's gotta eat. But I do also accept trays and things like that too. So if you've got something that you'd like to part with, I'm sure that we can come to a good agreement here too. But let me show you some of my things here, okay? Okay, here. Where should we start? Oh, this. What I've got in here is an incredibly rare item. Now, what makes a good peddler is someone who is willing to go the distance, per se. Someone who is willing to to find those really unique and interesting, fascinating things. And sometimes you gotta go all over the place to do that. Now this little friend I got in here is something that I picked up far, far west of here, in the kingdom of Kanjigar. You heard of Kanjigar, have you? Of course you have. I mean, it's a big empire, ain't it? Sort of dwarfs our little kingdom of Maladia here, but of course it's not without its dangers, its difficulties of an empire. But they have got such fascinating things that you don't find in a kingdom like ours. This in here is one of those things. This, my friend, is a fascinating hand-carved replica of an animal that they have in Kanjigar. We don't have in this kingdom here. Never seen something like this. This is called... what's it called? An olifant. Yeah. It's an olifant. And this animal, I mean, I know this replica is sort of small, but the actual animal is huge. It's bigger than anything we've got here in Maladia, except maybe dragons. But this thing is about the size of a dragon. Except this thing ain't gonna barbecue you. These are actually relatively gentle creatures, as long as you treat them right and you don't, spook them or anything like that. But they've got these big, strong legs down here and a little tail, a nice, strong back, these big ears that they use to fan themselves with. Yeah, obviously they got real good hearing too. And then they got this long, sort of spouty nose. Look at that thing, look how far that goes. And this is they use to sort of drink, and they can also trumpet from it. It's an incredible sound. You won't hear anything like that in this kingdom of Maladia. And then, for protection, they do also have these long tusks coming out of the sides of their faces. They're very sharp, and if you were to scare one of them and it charged you with those tusks, you probably wouldn't survive that. But in Kanjigar, there are wild olifants, around on the plains and places like that. But they have also domesticated this animal, almost like what we would have, a horse or something. See this pretty little blanket they got wrapped over it, and you can ride on them, you can put things on them, and then travel long distances sort of as a pack animal. They are very intelligent and very loyal, and like I said, for the most part, very gentle creatures. So this little replica here, this is actually carved right out of wax. You see that little wick there? It's a candle. Yeah, that's right. You could have your very own olifant candle. I guarantee you, nowhere else in this kingdom are you going to find a peddler who is selling olifant candles. I mean, really, this is absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime purchase for you right here. Can you imagine, setting this out on your mantle or on your table or something and burning it, and your friend comes over and they say, "What is this thing?" You would be the most talked about neighbour in your entire block. Well, I guess if you're such a brave, fancy adventurer, then maybe you already are, right? But it's a very fascinating, very unique piece here. Not interested in this? Alright, fine. I guess you are not the right match for this fascinating olifant. I'm sure that I will find someone, somewhere, who is very, very interested in this fascinating one-of-a-kind piece. That's alright, that's alright, that's alright. I've got plenty of other things to show you here. Plenty of other things that I'm sure that you will appreciate. Let's see, what else should we talk about? Oh, here we go. Now this little thing. It is not, to contrary belief, it is not just a hammer to hit things with. This is actually a stamp. Look at that. Look at that cute little flower design on there, all carved out. You've got some stems and the leaves and things around there. Now this, I am told, is actually used in baking. Yeah, so you sort of press this onto a loaf of bread or cookies or a pie or something like that. And then when it bakes in the oven, it comes out and it's got this little stamp on it. Yeah, highly decorative. In fact, I got this from a person who used to live here. They don't anymore, but they were a baker and they were incredibly good at their craft. Some of the best biscuits that this bloke has ever tasted, I can tell you that. And this was their stamp. It was sort of their trademark, you know. Very, very interesting item there. And, you know, in a pinch, if you ain't a baker, you could also use it as a hammer or, you know, maybe to clock someone over the head if you needed to, you know what I'm saying? Could definitely do that too. So, what do you think? You a baker? You a connoisseur of the baked goods, pastries, things like that? You could use this wonderful stamp to sort of literally leave your mark on your creations. No? Okay. That's fine. I'm sure I'll find someone for that later. Oh! Now this is an item. This is another beautifully handcrafted piece. Now this I found actually on one of my journeys to Tivermac, port city of Tivermac. You know, they get all sorts of interesting people from different countries and faraway lands and all that sort of things. You ever been to Tivermac? Oh, you have? All right. You are quite the adventurer, aren't you? Well, then I'm sure you will certainly appreciate this item. Now it's a container of sorts, but it's one unlike anything you've ever seen, I promise you that. This is a little container shaped like a shoe. Isn't that amazing? Look at that, look at the craftsmanship on there. The painting, the colour itself is quite fascinating. I don't know that I've ever seen something painted quite this vibrant in this kingdom. And as you can see here, you got two little cavities actually, where you could put different things in. You know, I had someone who was thinking you could put a plant in here. Just, you know, plant a little herb or a little flower or something in there and have it growing out of a shoe. Or, you know, I was thinking you could also use it for ale, you know. You ever heard the expression, I could drink a whole boot of ale? Well, now you really can. You ever heard that expression? I could drink a whole boot of ale, isn't that it? Maybe not, I don't know, but you could. If you wanted to, you could fill this up with ale and you could just drink it just like that. Fascinating. A fascinating piece of craftsmanship here. Really, I mean, endless possibilities with this. Endless possibilities with something like this. Really, I mean, a lot of these things, they're very multifunctional, you know, which just really adds to the value of them. You know, if something can only do one thing, well, it's quite boring, isn't it? But if you have something like this that could be a planter, or it could be a drink, or you could put your little trinkets in here or something like that. You know, you could keep your valuables in here, then you could put it up on a shelf and people would just think, hey, there's a shoe sitting on a shelf. They would never know that you had your jewellery or your money or something stored in there. they would never think that. Foolproof, really. Quite foolproof. And just these little designs of the flowers and all those little circles on there, hand painted. It's quite a fascinating thing, really. I saw it and I just knew I had to have it. I knew that I could find the perfect buyer for something as fascinating as this. No, alright, I guess that person is not you, but keep this in mind. I really think that this is something you ain't gonna find anywhere else. I can guarantee you that. Alright, fine. No. There's no need to go. I got other things here. I know I got other things that you will certainly find value in, you know? I mean, it's so hard living in a town like this with this amazing merchandise that there's just not really a market for, you know? Could really use a sale, if you know what I mean. But you just sit there. I'm sure that you and I can find something that will mean something to you. You know, here, let's, oh, now this is a good one right here. This is an excellent purchase. This is a book of stories, and it's all different myths and folklore and things like that from all over the kingdom, really. You got stories of fairies, you got stories of those little goat things, what are they called? Fawns, that's right. You got fairies, you got fawns, you got fire-breathing dragons, you got all kinds of things. There's even a few stories in here about the Lady Fate herself. Yeah, back when people said that she walked this land just like you and me. Fascinating. Obviously no one believes that anymore, but you know, back in the stories they did. It's quite a fascinating read, you know, and it's all sorts of little stories, but there's also sort of an overarching story going on here. It is quite a good read. Now, unfortunately, some person decided that when they were reading this book that they just really needed to hold on to the last 10 or 12 pages or so. So, you know, I mean, you can get most of the story, but there's a little bit of information missing in the back here. But that's sort of, it sort of adds to the charm of this, don't you think? I mean, this is a book where you get to learn all sorts of things, meet all kinds of fascinating, interesting characters, and then you also get to engage your imagination and decide how the book ends. Sort of a 2-for-1, you know, you get to create your own adventure, sort of. Ain't that nifty? Yeah, I thought it was really good. You know, because you can read the end of the story up to where the pages end, and you know, sometimes endings of stories are not actually that fascinating. Sometimes they're not that satisfying, and the author leaves something sort of open-ended, or you don't really know where things are going, and it can be a bit frustrating. Well, not with this book. You get to decide as the reader how the story ends. It's a great purchase, that. You get some reading, you get some entertainment, you get some knowledge, and you get to use your own imagination. Well, it's not that many pages at the end that are torn out. I mean, you get most of the story. Fine. Apparently big adventurers are not big on big imagination. Whatever, it's fine. I've got some other things here that I'm sure you'll be interested in. Oh, I like this one. This is also something that I picked up in my travels through the Empire of Kanchakar. This is a little box. A little wooden carved box. Makes some good sounds, don't it? Yeah, you hear that? You hear that? Quite a good sound. Anyway, so this is a little box. You can see it's got this lovely little carving on it here. It's sort of carved and then it's, I don't know if it's stained. It don't look like it's painted. Probably probably a stain or something like that, but you got this nice dark colour, and then this lovely design of, you know, sort of a big sunflower or something like that on there. Then you've got all these little leaves along the side. On the back here, you've got some of those little leaves and things. The design kind of goes around. And then on the inside, it's just nice, solid, treated black wood, you know. Fascinating little box here. This is another thing. It's like our interesting little shoe over here. You could do anything you wanted with this. You could put little gems in there. You could put, you know, a few coins in there. You could even make it sort of a magical thing, like for kiddies, you know, when they lose teeth or something. You could keep them in here, keep them safe from goblins, you know. All sorts of fascinating things you could do with this little box, and it's just so pretty. You know, sometimes even when an item itself is not that unusual, if you put it inside an unusual looking box, people will think it's unusual. Yeah, I do it all the time, really. Some of my things that are maybe not as interesting, or maybe they're just, you know, they need some build up. They need a story, you know, because everything's got a story that I sell here. Everything is part of someone else's life. You know, that's the great thing about selling second-hand things, is that everything already has a history when I get it. And it's my job to continue that item's history, you know. Big responsibility, being a peddler. Anyway, what do you think of this fascinating little box? Well, I know it's small. It ain't supposed to be big. Sometimes the most interesting things come in little packages. Haven't you ever heard that? No, okay, well, that's fine, that's fine. I got some other things here, I know. I know that I'll find something that you like. I'm sure of it, sure of it. You want a swig? No, it ain't water. What do you think this is? Okay, that's fine. More for me later. Alright. Now this is an item, like I was talking about with the history of things. This is an item that has a fascinating history. Now this is a bottle. Yeah, it's a bottle. You know, it's a little bottle, just made of glass. So I've got a little cork here you can seal it with. Got a bit of a seal there. I guess it's not real tight. It works okay. Anyway, this is a bottle, and I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's just an empty bottle. What's so special about that? But this bottle at one point had a very powerful, very important, very expensive potion in it. Probably. So, buying this bottle means that not only could you make your own very important, very fascinating potion or elixir or tincture or syrup even, you know, whatever it is that you're into, but there also is probably a little bit of residual magic inside of it. Yeah, you know, I mean, when you got magic that's so powerful, it really sort of lingers, you know? So, the potion that was inside of here, who knows what it did, but it could have done so many different things, and purchasing this is an investment in your future. Because you never know what sort of benefit having a bottle like this could do for you. I mean, really, it is endless possibilities. Again, you know, you could put so many different things in here. You know, there's even people who, they'll take an ale or some sort of an alcohol or something like that, and they'll put it into a bottle like this, and they'll put it in there with a different ingredient. Maybe a plant. Maybe even some smoked wood. You ever heard of that? You know, add some wood to like whiskey or something like that, and then it sort of flavours the drink a bit different, and then you just set it on the shelf. Anyway, something like this would be great for that, if that's what you're into. Or you could make syrups, or you could, you know, bring it to someone who makes potions, or maybe you yourself are a dabbler and, you know, the potion arts, things like that. You never know. Or maybe you just need to bring something with you, like we fit inside a bottle like this. Maybe even, you know, some food, little snacks. Everyone needs snacks on their journeys, right? I mean, a big adventurer like you can't just walk around not eating. You gotta eat stuff. You could put something very nutritious in here too. And maybe the residual magic that exists from here, from the potion that was probably in here at one point or another, could, you know, give some added benefit to whatever it is that you're eating. I'm telling you, this bottle, it's got a story. A story. No, what? I guess if you're just going to be closed-minded about everything, you know, it is just really hard to find people for all of these different things. You know, it's really an art being a peddler, but not everyone appreciates art, I guess. Oh well, that's fine. I got a few other things here that I think you'll like. Okay, just a second here. How about this is a very rare item. Now this was actually sold to me by someone else who is a purveyor of these particular types of high quality goods. This is a beautiful little bell. Look at that. Isn't that just fascinating? You know, sometimes I use this for meditation. Just sort of let it spin like that. And just watch the colours and the pictures go round and round and round. But it's also good for other things besides meditation. Now, as you can see here, this is a beautifully crafted, lovely painted little bell here. We've got all these little leaf designs. We've got the black and the gold and a bit of green and yellow and red on there too. It is a beautifully, beautifully painted bell. But beyond that, this is also a very specific kind of bell. You see, this is a bell that when you ring it, it summons fairies to you. Yeah, you see, when you ring it, you can sort of hear, you can sort of hear a sound, but it's not very loud to you and me. But there is something about the type of sound that it makes that is very, very loud to fairies, and they cannot resist the call of a fairy bell. Yeah. It's quite interesting, ain't it? Quite an interesting item. You ever have a need for a fairy? I mean, I know that they can be a bit difficult to get a hold of, and their magic can be a bit unpredictable, but they are very powerful creatures. You never know when calling one to your side might be beneficial. Although you got to make sure you got a good deal for them, you know, they're not just going to do something for nothing, even if they do show up. But this fairy bell is something that is not made in this kingdom. It's a very, very rare item. All sorts of possibilities and things like this. Shall we ring it and see if we get a fairy? No, I'm sure it'll be fine. They're so small, what are they going to do? Yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything to you and me, it's fine. We just want to talk to them. I just want to make sure that this little bell works, right? Okay, ready? Do you see any fairies? Maybe it takes a second. Let's try again. One more time. One more time. Do it over here. Ready? Ready? Maybe there's none in range. I mean, you do, yeah, like, it doesn't have just unlimited range, obviously, and I don't really know that Danwood is a place for fairies to come and visit. But, if you were to actually, you know, be somewhere where fairies were abundant, this bell would definitely summon them to you. Maybe you'd have a whole army of fairies after you. That would be fascinating, wouldn't it? So what do you say? What do you say? You think a bell like this could be useful? All right. You're really putting me through the ringer here, aren't you? That's all right. I got one last thing. I know that this might be, it's a bit unusual of an item, I'll give you that. But like I said, it has such a great story to it. I know that someone like you could really appreciate this item. And would very much appreciate the benefit of, you know, that you would be giving me, you know, someone who's having a hard time making ends meet, let's just be honest, in a town like this. I mean, nobody really wants any of this stuff, and it's really hard. So, but I know that this is something that you would be very interested in. Now, what I have inside this box is a one-of-a-kind item, you know. Now, most things, when you see things that have been made by hand, normally they're whittled out of wood, or maybe they're made out of metal where they can be heated and shaped, you know, things like this. Things like that. But this is something entirely different. This is something carved directly out of stone. It's a very special kind of stone called soapstone. And it comes in all these different colours, sort of this pinkish colour, kind of a whitish colour, and it's got this really interesting pattern. And every single piece is incredibly unique. So this is something I know you'll be interested in. This little mule. Or maybe it's a donkey. Or maybe it's no, it ain't a horse. I don't know if it's a donkey or a mule or something like that. But it is a beautiful, handcrafted piece. You know? I mean, it's so fascinating. See all those little lines and all the different little textures and patterns and things on it. Like I said, every piece of soapstone looks different. So you're not going to find something like this anywhere. No, it's incredibly, incredibly rare. Incredibly, one of a kind. You know, and you even got the little saddle on here too, so that someone could ride on them and, you know, go places, or maybe put stuff on top of them like a pack animal, you know, whatever. It's a very useful creature, having a mule or a donkey or whatever this is. Well, yeah, I know the ear is broken. I ain't stupid, I can see that. But, like I said, it adds to the story of the thing, don't it? This little creature has seen quite a lot to go through something like that. Maybe this was, you know, a child's beloved toy or something. And, you know, sometimes kids, they're playing with something and they just get a little overexcited and then they end up dropping it or something like that. But it just sort of adds to the charm of it, don't it? It makes it, again, very, very unique. A very interesting, one-of-a-kind piece that you won't find anywhere else. Any other peddler, any other store that you go to, anywhere in Danwood or anywhere else in this entire kingdom, they're not going to have this little guy. You're still not sure? I just showed you all of my things, all of my best stuff. And this little guy isn't doing it for you. Well, maybe if I told you his name. Okay. Now, if you were the owner of this little guy, then you could change its name to be whatever you want it to be, I guess. But I have decided that this little body right here, his name is Clyde. Yeah, Clyde. It was actually Clyde in the little town I grew up in. Yeah, he was kind of in it. he was a good fellow. Yeah. No. Anyway, so this little guy, Clyde, I think that he would just make a wonderful traveling companion. I mean, you know, you're going all over this whole kingdom. You're looking for different things. You're whatever it is that adventurers do. You know, it probably gets a bit lonely. So wouldn't it be nice to have a little animal companion like this? You know, and of course a very affordable one too. You know, oh yeah. No, I ain't gonna charge you too much for little Clyde here. He is quite special to me, but I can tell that if you were to invest in little Clyde here, that he would be very beneficial to you down the road. I guarantee it. So, I would be willing to part with Clyde for 3 gold, something like that. Really a bargain. I mean, you're getting quite a value here. Yeah. Maybe you could even trade it to someone else for something, you know, someday down the road. I mean, maybe not, but, you know, it's just, it's an investment in the future, in my future. So, what do you say? You think you could part with little Clyde here? All right. I can see that you are quite the enterprising individual, aren't you? All right. 2 gold. 2 gold, and I will give you this little guy right here. I think you're really getting the better end of the bargain here. Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, I knew that we could come to some sort of a trade between us. That is just wonderful. 2 gold, you got yourself a deal. Wonderful. So, yeah, that'll be 2 gold, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate your business. Don't we, Clydie? Yes, we do. Here you go. There's your little friend. You hold on to that, because I can tell he is going to mean something to you someday. He surely is. I think that you coming into this shop was ordained by the great Lady Fate herself. I bet it was. That Clyde, he's going to have your back sometime. I can tell you that. Well, you know, you could even just use him as a paperweight too. You got parchments, you got different books or something you're reading. Just put Clyde right on top, you know, he'll hold your place, hold things down so you don't lose anything. Like I said, multi-functioning, the things that I sell here, so. This little guy, he's gonna come in handy someday, ain't he? Yeah, he is. Well, it has been a pleasure doing business with you. Anything else that I showed you that you were changing your mind on? Nothing? You sure? Alright, well, still always a pleasure to meet open-minded individuals like yourself in a town, you know, like this in Danwood. I would say, well, maybe I'll see you again, but I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be in this town. I can tell you that. It's, like I said, it's a bit of a challenge when people here don't have the imagination of people like you and me. But, who knows? Maybe the Lady Fate will ordain for us to meet again someday. Well, I'm not sure where your adventuring is going to take you next, big shot like you, but you're always welcome here in my shop, as long as it's here, or, you know, wherever else it maybe ends up being, but at least now, wherever it is you journey to, you got yourself a little traveling companion now. Safe journeys, traveler. Maybe someday we will